The truth is, sometimes you don't really know what you're stretching. You can feel something being stretched, but how do you know that it's a stretching of a muscle, or if you're stretching some of your tissues that are connected to the bone, say your ligaments, cartilage, and tendons, that are less prone to stretch, that are not meant to be stretched that much? And that's the biggest thing that I want you to take away, is that when you're stretching, muscles are stretched, but so too are ligaments, cartilage, and tendons, and other connective tissue that is a lot less pliable, a lot less movable. And so it's important that over the long haul, you don't lengthen these tissues too much, because they become a lot less resilient. And when they don't have that recoil response, or that just right amount of tension to be held when you're running or moving through space, some bad things can happen. And I think that the way that I approach stretching is a little bit more in between, because it takes this idea of, okay, I'm stretching, but can I be strong within this stretch?
Let's start with the calf stretch here. This is a really popular stretch that I see people do before playing pickleball. And again, I don't think it's a bad stretch, but let's look at it differently. Why don't we try instead lightly pulling that foot towards your leg and then holding it? It's almost like that tib fib exercise where you're just basically pulling your foot towards the front of your leg. And you can just hold this and feel that strength. And then what you do is what I just did right there. Now put it under load. Because if you'll notice, the knee comes forward here as the foot is planted, but I need to be able to hold that position, because it's one thing to be able to stretch that tissue out. It's another thing to have that tissue manage load under pressure. And if you've done Build Your Base, this is where this exercise comes into perfect harmony, where you're stretching and strengthening at the same time. Next up, let's take a look at that very popular stretch, that wide leg forward fold. And here's the main issue that I have with this stretch in general, is that people will lock their knees. And as you can tell here, my weight is shifted back more on my heels, and I'm not feeling as much of my midfoot. So here's the upgrade. Let those knees bend, shift your weight forward, and now hold and accept that position. Breathe a few times. And what I'd like for you to think about doing is, as I do here, I'm letting the front of my thighs and my core pull the angle of my body closer, as opposed to just lengthening the back sides. And this is going to really upgrade this stretch in general, because now you're taking that lengthened state and putting control under that load. And you can see here, instead of just holding that stretch, I'm taking that stretch and controlling it up and down. I'm opening and closing that angle. When you get stability, you get ability. The only difference here is that now my feet are together, but again, this is a very common theme where they're just loading the heels, and you can see me feeling there because I can tell that there's some residual tightness there. And when you're doing stretches, you don't want to feel like one spot's getting really hot. So again, simple upgrade. Shift your weight forward, let your knees lightly bend, don't keep them locked. There's no athletic movement that has locked knees. Just keep that in mind when you do any stretch. And now I'm just doing the same thing. I'm using my core and my thighs and my front body to pull that angle closer, and at the same time feeling the lengthening in the back sides, but I'm not going any deeper or any farther forward or down than I need to. And I want to make sure I can control myself like I did there to get up and out of that position. When you can control these movements mechanistically from an idea of, hey, this is my position in space, that gets extremely powerful. A good stretch to make an exercise. Oh, the side lunge. This is something people love to do, but here's the upgrade, and it's really simple. Your body has to hold this position. So what I do here is just simply remove those hands from the knees. Can I hold that weight? And then bring that other leg closer. I know people love to stretch the insides of their legs or their groins here. It's not something that you want to just be flippant about. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing Build Your Base, this is one of the exercises. It's so much better this way. As far as a cross arm stretch, the main issue I have is that people are just flailing their arms across their body and not controlling that shoulder flexion across the body that they need to. And the upgrade is simple. Bring your arm across your body and now use that strength of the chest and the shoulder to bring it across, and then be gentle with your other arm, as my right arm is here, and give it a little bit of pressure and get that stretch. But can I strengthen it? Can I hold this position? And what I love to do with this stretch is hold it. Keep that stretch, stay engaged, get a little bit more range if you can, and then go ahead and take that stretch, lengthen it a little bit. And this comes more towards that classic chest or doorway stretch. And what you're going to do is lightly engage on that instead of just kind of cranking the arm and the shoulder, which most people do, what I'm showing right there. Instead, get that stretch to go with you as you grab onto that. Get a little bit of movement and press your hand and your shoulder to firmly get some chest engagement, as you can see me doing there. And then lightly rotate your body that way, because you're going to get such a much more effective combination exercise that not only are you strengthening here, but you're lengthening with a control attitude. And this makes a world of difference, because now the chest, arms, shoulders, back, they're all working in synchrony with one another. And what I love here is a little bit of bonus for you guys is now release as you're holding on to that tension. The tricep stretch is another fan favorite. People really enjoy this. And the principle is the same as the last one. Sometimes people are getting their arms in this position without actually having any control over it. And so what you want to do is take your arm, bring it across. How far can I get my elbow to try to get up, and my hand and my thumb to point down to that direction? Is there strength? Can I control it without arching the back? Can I bring that arm and that elbow up? And what you'll find here in this position is that when you can control this range while using that hand to lightly spot yourself and not relying on it, it becomes much more effective.
So now you're a little bit more educated on how to be a bit more efficient with stretching. It's really important to understand how you're carrying your center mass or your body weight as you're stretching. Am I too far back on my heels? Am I too far forward? Am I just flailing my arms around or just throwing myself in a position when I really just haven't earned that range of motion yet? And it's very important to understand that every stretch has this sort of stretch and then this ability to recoil and contract back into that stretch. And that's where it comes into mind, where as I'm carrying my own body weight and I land my foot on the ground, am I able to control this load? Is my weight being distributed properly, or am I just more or less stretching for the sake of stretching to feel good? It's a big, big difference when you look at it this way. I hope you learned a lot today. I appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned for more.